And you can hear me? Very good. Make sure that you're comfortable. And notice this moment. As if you're leaving everything that you know about the meditation behind. As if you're sitting here for the first time. Mind is fresh, new. The simple recognition of this moment is there. An alertness, noticing thoughts, the expressions of the body. Movement of prana, all the subtle activities of the mind. There is recognition of it all. This recognition is not personal. It is just the isness of being. It's not going anywhere. It doesn't want anything. It has almost a stubborn quality to it. Whatever happens in the relative domain, it is untouched. It cannot be hurt or destroyed or even lost. But the noise of the mind can obscure it temporarily. And you can be taken by the noise and believe it, and therefore it feels like it's gone. But it is from this beingness that everything arises. every color, shape, every thought, every expression, everything arises from this beingness. It is the source of everything. It is the untouched source that gives birth to all of experience. You can believe many things. You can believe that you are someone taking on the world. You can go into different roles, put on different masks. But in the end, it always falls back into the same. This pure beingness that permeates everything. Even though you heard it many times, you might still think that meditation is control. You see monks and nuns practicing and you think that it's a question of discipline. And that people somehow tame their mind. Because it can be difficult to see how you cannot react on things based on anything else. But it is the acceptance of the present and the silence that invites, and the openness that comes with it that changes everything. Not because you change, but because you see what is. When the striving of becoming subsides. And beingness gets to shine. And this spiritual revelation gives a sense of meaning. But as you look, you will notice that there is no one who holds this meaning. It is just the expression of purposefulness. But you are not the holder of that. You are not the keeper of meaning or purpose. It's another expression that just comes, stays for a while and goes. And there is so much freedom and beauty in the allowing of the expression of being. And these words, when they touch the source of things, will always have the possibility to be misunderstood. So don't get too caught up in the words. Look for the source. Look for the source of the I. And you don't have to look for it because I say so, or that you read that it's a good idea. It has to come from your natural existential drive towards truth. It is a subtle longing for some, and for some it is in the forefront. But it can be expressed in stillness. There it can really shine. It's that longing for union that so often get misinterpreted into individual love, romantic love, or purpose, or context, or all these things. And they can be soothing for a while, but they will never feel complete. You have to look at what is. It's not a philosophical question. It is a question of just looking. See if you can look at these instructions from a practical point of view instead of a philosophical. See what it does. Is it possible to put into practice? Can you find the I? Can you be with what is? Are they just empty words to you, or do you look? Is it sadhana? Is it a practice? What is beyond the veil? What is beyond the trance of thoughts and emotions? You can open your eyes, move your body if you need to, change position. So, what is the veil? What is it that makes clarity feel far away? I know that you all have experienced moments of clarity. Life feels simple, light. It's easy to see what is what. So what creates the veil? What creates this trance, this idea of a person and all the karma and the ideas that comes from that idea? For most, the idea of the person is upheld so much that it just feels like an intricate part of I. It feels like there is something, some reality to it. Time and time again, it's related to. It takes your cues from the thoughts according to the ideas of the person. And perhaps sometimes there is the absence of it. And all kinds of things can arise in that absence. Perhaps for a small moment it feels nice. And if it prevails, you start to feel lost. You start to say things, I don't know who I am anymore. I feel like too little butter on too big of a slice of bread. Because the ego starts to be thin. And for most people, when they feel that, they want to go back. They start to feel like, oh, I don't know about this. I think I'd rather be a someone. They might not even see it. They just feel like, I cannot stand this anymore. Because there is a sense of dying. And almost no one can stand the sense of dying. It's too much, right?
Feels like that.
Feels overwhelming, feels too much. But a death that is stirring is not real. It has nothing to do with what most people would call the real death, the death of the body. I talk in this way because that's where the fears are. But it's just the death of the ego. And I don't think that many realize how close that is. They look at the Buddha, they look at some sages and think that it is far away. But the recognition of the present moment in its totality is always here. And the existential longing for beingness itself has in the moment to be stronger than the fear of death. It's just a very honest explanation of what the difficulty of it is. So it's not really difficult. It just involves a lot of trust. And at first you might think, but I can will it. I can do it. I can be strong enough. And the more you look into trying to do it, you notice that the doer is the problem. Because the idea of the doer just enhances the idea of the person, the idea of ego. And the difficult thing with the doing is that some of your doing, some of your sadhanas, you might like them a lot. They bring you great joy and peace and they feel lovely. So the person gets addicted to the sadhana. And I've seen it so many times. I talk to people who for 40 years have had the same sadhana. And they say, I love it so much. And if you're alright with just feeling okay, that is fine. But if you're longing to see what is, then the sadhana will never be enough because it will always be connected to the person. It will always be connected to doing. So something has to let go of that. Most people are not very interested in freedom. They're interested in safety. Most people don't really listen. They're on their toes, they're on guard to see how they can argue with it. Even if you look at them and it seems like they're listening, the mind is playing a game of comparison. It's not in a state of trust. It is in a state of distrust. And this makes the mind look at the words in a very specific manner, colored by the ideas of the person. And it is not that what is expressed here is something very unique. It has the same things have been expressed for a long time. I'm reading old books that have the same things being expressed as we're looking at here. But it is the receiver that is colored, that takes the words and does something with them. Already knows where they're pointing, dismisses them because I've heard it before, or says, this is beginner stuff, I'm already beyond that. All these kind of games. This is the real hurdle, because very few people know how to listen, because it requires trust. And when the trust is there, so little is needed. You don't need hundreds of hours. You can need one sentence, and it contains everything. As Nisargadatta's teacher told him, you only have to be aware of the I. Just come back to always be aware of the I. It just stuck with him because he really listened. Not because he's smart or he had some extraordinary ability. He just really listened. And in that listening, it goes beyond philosophy. It goes beyond the intellect. It is a listening that is here, not here. And this trust, to many people, feels so unfiltered that it scares them. It is the full embrace. And you might sense your resistance. And there might come a point where you will say, okay, but I really want to know. I don't want to hold back anymore. I don't want to keep it at arm's length anymore. I no longer just want to dip my toes. I want to jump in. And when you do that, you always feel like you're going into the unknown. Because the acceptance of that you don't know has to be in that. And that's why you're going. And if you're waiting to feel sure enough to go, you can wait forever. And this is where many people are stuck in spirituality. You enjoy spirituality on the surface. You enjoy discussing it with your spiritual friends. You enjoy talking about it. You enjoy reading about it. You have an interest in it, without realizing that that interest is the ego just entertaining itself. And I understand everyone who says that is too much. I like it on that level. I don't want to. Okay, that is fine. But if you have that stirring in you, that you really want to know, you have to listen to these words from that space, that unfiltered space. Not weighing them, not comparing them. Just see what they do. What are they pointing towards? When I say, to whom does that happen? Who are you? Who is sitting here? Who is the listener? Where's the source of the listener? To really look, to find out. The question can be framed in so many ways. You can also ask, what is violence? What is life? What is meaning? They sound like big philosophical topics, but they all come to the same source. But if you only draw conclusions, if you only play with the intellect, it will be very limited. And you will say, oh, I find it fascinating, or I find it interesting. But if you do that, and you keep it always on arm's length, that is not really sadhana. Sadhana is to really look. To go beyond the philosophical. To make meditation practical. And to me, it seems ridiculous when people say, oh, it's such a philosophical, deep philosophical subject, meditation. And I say, no, it is not. It's what you culturally associate with a deep philosophical subject, because we ask the questions about who am I, what is life, what is meaning, what is death really, all these things, what are fears, where does things come from? We ask all these questions, and it can seem like a subject, but they're not asked from the standpoint of creating a philosophy of how to relate to them. It's not a structure. It's not a teaching. It just points to being. And to the intellect that feels small, that might feel insignificant. But that is the core of spirituality. And I understand that it's nicer with the subject surrounding it, to be in discussion groups around it, to play with ideas of spirituality. But that's mainly entertainment. And I feel like I have to be frank with you, because there is so much of that. There's so much spiritual entertainment. And the practice is not that. You don't have to talk about in length about your practice. Just be it. Because for most, it is just confusing to define it. It's in many cases not helpful. The expansiveness of being, when put into words, becomes a thing. A thing that you say about your meditation. That is not the practice. It's like saying that the sign that points to the moon and says moon is the moon. But it's not. It's a sign that points to the moon. And as soon as we take it in words, we can get confused by that. Because the expression of it cannot be contained in words. And that's why it's needed to be practiced, and not just an intellectual game. I had a woman who asked me one time if I could describe what love was. And I made a description for her of what I thought love was. And she said, "Your words are so beautiful, but not everyone can talk like that." And I said, "But that has nothing to do with love." It's so easy to confuse the words with the thing. I understand why Ramana Maharshi refused to talk. Because he understood that if people just sat in his presence and they were ready for it, they would get it. You can just couple unto a silent mind and be silent yourself. You can just reflect yourself in that silence, and suddenly you're in the sattvic state, and the sadhana can be there. You can invite everything. It's such a beautiful, rare thing. Most of us are, most of the time, taken by our mind, trying to get through life. And hoping to one day have enough time to practice meditation, experience a sattvic state, and really doing the sadhana. And it is like there is a objective joy underneath the experience. The dance and play that comes from silence. And there is no end to it. And you can be taken by your mind's trance, go into some emotion, maybe think that you are a victim of this moment or your situation, and you go back to it and you just touch it, and right away the spell is lifted. Maybe you just inquire into who is feeling like a victim. When you have started to touch it, it's like the flame in you is lit. You can have long periods, you can go through all kinds of dark nights of the soul. But you know now that there is light. You can feel confused about it, it can feel difficult, there's no space for it, all these things. But the flame is lit. You know that there is light. You might feel like all you see is darkness, but you know that there is light. This is a big difference. And a certain states of hopelessness and despair cannot touch that. And since I come from a non-spiritual background, non-religious, it was in a way strange as an adult to find that out. And made complete sense to me why all these non-connected parts of humans all over the world always worshipped something. Nature, the sun, different gods, because that trust is such a deep part of the expression of our existence. It's actually the core of it. And it so often got projected into an external thing, while many also said that it permeates everything. And I always find that strange when it's talked about that God or godliness is in everything. But somehow it seems to, in many religions, exclude the ones who are saying that. They're still separate. I think the non-dual nature of things is just the most natural thing in us. It is what every religion in every time has always looked at the same thing. They put different names and they project it on a more physical aspect of something. But it is that sense. When I first started with meditation, I did not know what spirituality meant. I think I found it fascinating, but I didn't realize what it meant in practice. And that if you just use your rajasic qualities, your ambition, your determination, that it will show you very clearly what you're lacking. I didn't expect that at all. I just expected results. I didn't have any concept of that the universe would show it in that sense. And the beautiful directness that things can have. I didn't know that the universe could manifest a mouth that could say those words to me until I understood. Because I didn't know and I didn't trust. And just the uncertainty and the softness in you of not knowing opens so much. That is also strange. The way my guru came to me feels also very unlikely. But that is, the universe don't operate in likeliness. It seems to care very little about that. It just manifests what is needed. And it's not manifesting it for you. It is manifesting it for itself. For the play between awareness and awareness. To see how the expression of the human can be in alignment with what is. Whatever you want to call that play. The existential drive towards truth. Awareness wants to know itself. And it plays that through the expressions of the body. And if you don't practice meditation, these words will be nonsense. And for someone who have some experience of sadhana, they can be gold. Is there any questions today? Yes. Take the microphone.
It feels so hard to speak now, so still today. Something I've been feeling a little bit is like, maybe this is just making a narrative of myself understand, but I think I feel like I can see very clearly, like you talking about roles we play and things like that. I feel like I can see the roles I play with more perspective now, at least. Like I can say, oh yeah, that's a role I play in work, and this is a role I play with my friends, and I feel like, as well as that, I feel like the sort of stillness is like with me more and more, and sort of getting, it feels like it's getting bigger inside me somehow. And then this can feel a little weird sometimes because, or I feel like some situations now seem a little bit unnatural now. Like I don't quite know how to behave anymore. I think like considering a role that I used to play with my friends, like going out and going to a bar or something. And then now it feels like I can do that for a little while, and then there's something like a fuse blows, like, no, I have to stop. I can't do anymore. Like, no more. I just have to go home and be quiet. And this just feels a little bit weird.
Yes.
And then in other situations as well, like sometimes I'll just be in work in a meeting, and I sort of will feel like these like majestic things of being quite driven, and yeah, this sounds good. And then suddenly it was just, no, stop. And then I just like, oh God, now I just need to, it's sort of difficult to sit there. Then I have to go and just be quiet for a few minutes. And then like, oh God. It's like something just stops those old tendencies or something. But I'm still like, I'm still doing the things, you know, I'm still like the same person in a way, but something's changed, and it feels a bit weird sometimes, like like I haven't got a choice. I just really have to stop now.
Yes.
I can't choose.
And also, how do you feel when you go into these? How is the emotional state?
I think maybe it's like suddenly it just becomes very clear. Like, what am I doing? Like, what is this energy? Like, this is just something happening, and then I just feel like a little bit like, oh, I just need to, like, I want that energy to just sort of dissipate. I don't want to follow it anymore.
No. But is there a rigidity to it? Is there a stiffness to this? Yes.
Yeah, maybe it feels a bit stiff. I think maybe that's what feels unnatural.
Yes.
Like, before it would just be natural to just, like, I was naturally more in the world. And now it's like my being in the world is somehow stiff, like rigid,
because the expressions, when they are not authentic, can feel can start to feel uncomfortable at first, and the more that the sattvic state pervades, it can feel almost painful to go into them. It gets worse in a sense, but that is like the natural thing that happens because suddenly there is space. If you're always confined, you don't know what freedom feels like. And if there is almost always space, if you're always free, when you put in prison, it really feels like prison. But if you're used to prison and you have decorated nicely and you're used to your little prison, and that's what you know that the world is, then that's quite bearable. But when you move between these worlds, it can become very, very unbearable. And it's often like that like old behaviors linger. but you're not very interested in keeping them, because it just feels very confined, and you feel very small. It's like your clothes are too tight. It's like too confined. So you will just say, I have to go home and just be by myself because it just feels nicer than this. And it's just a shift with that. And there is almost always a way to be with those situations that is more natural, but they will be on different premises, and maybe you won't be in them for long if you just feel very contorted, that you have to reach very far to go into it. And for many who practice spirituality, those things are very challenging because it has to do with your social life and your friends and how you relate to in your workplace and all these things. But it is always the authentic way of approaching that does not create more karma, that just makes the thoughts dissipate, will always be the nicest way to relate. And in every situation that is. And it also depends, of course, how much you have contorted yourself to fit into these different situations, that it's okay for a little while to censor yourself and to talk in a certain way because you know that people like it, but you won't stand it for long periods of time. You will find it extremely confining. It will feel like you're in a little prison. And that's usually not what you want to feel when you're hanging out with your friends.
Yeah, right, yeah. And I feel as well, like a little bit like you say, like I have also had occasions where it just feels so natural, just very natural. And like where I just don't need to pretend to be anything. And like a whole, hour-long fika with somebody who I just am there for or there with. And it's just really natural. And afterwards I feel like, that's so nice. But then it's like these sort of older patterns just come up again. And I think as well, you mentioned earlier, like you always know what I'm going to talk about before when I come, I feel. But it's like I feel like it's scary. I want to go back, but I know I can't go back. Yeah. It's gone. It's not there anymore, and that's really scary sometimes. Like,
yes, you're God. Screwed.
Yeah, now exactly. Like the only way is through, and Jesus, like it doesn't feel good. Like it feels really hard. Yes, and sometimes it feels good, and then other times like but like that way is gone.
Yes. And that is because it has to do with the awareness of it. It changes the quality of things. When you see it, it cannot be unseen. If you start to see in your life that, okay, what is lacking here is trust. You see it in your relating with other people and how it does not work. Suddenly you see it everywhere. You see how trust permeates everything and how your lack of trust affects everything. And once you have seen it, it's like you're done. That you have to go with that. The only thing you want is to build trust with something greater and with others, and you see what it does. And how you can rest in that. And otherwise, you can continue to suffer, but that will just be harder and harder the more you see. So it's impossible. It's always, and it can feel like the universe is really crushing you in these moments. And when you try to figure all these things out, but in actuality, in the long term, it's really like the universe is saying, it's just conspiring with you. It just wants you to be free. And everything is like a push towards that. Even though it feels terrible sometimes. And you suffer through these changes, because changes won't feel nice. And all your ideas of, it feels like you're betraying your friends or leaving them behind, and all these things comes with exploring this spiritual and non-dual approach to life. It is a part of it. That you can also have the same feelings with your family and like, especially with your family usually, because then you have bonds. It's like you can have made bonds with them, and how the dynamic of your family is, that is based on certain kind of fears, for example. And as soon as you start to leave them, those fears and that identity with the family, it can really feel like some people have a really strong feeling of that they're betraying their family. But it's just the loosening of those fears, but it can really have the expression of that. And the same, of course, with close friends that you had for a long time, and you made a bond based on certain premises.
I think with my family, I think I have like some distance to my family maybe, so it actually almost feels easier now with my family. Like it feels more natural. Like my mum is quite an intense person, but now I feel that's easier. I sort of am more allowing maybe of that, and my sister as well is a little bit intense. But I do feel more like with my friends, and I know that I've always found like being alone difficult, like, or that idea, of being alone. And I think this is like it's a double sort of trigger for me in a way. It's feeling of leaving people behind and being more alone.
Yes.
But then also in some ways longing for that, and knowing, like you say, knowing that there is a light. Like in some ways it feels like it's always okay because there is always light, but it's also in those situations where it's like, where I think I sort of maybe step out of the more sattvic thing and go more into the sort of back in the world and like putting on my old mask again, where it just feels like, oh, it doesn't fit anymore and it's really sore. Like you say, okay, that's like what I think is the challenge for me now.
And the good news is that it is a very natural process that's just happening through when you explore spirituality. And the bad news is that it sometimes just takes time. It just, the change just has to happen. And there's also all the resistance with it, how you relate to the whole situation can make it go quickly or slowly, but it's usually not much you can do about it, because the things that has to be expressed around it has to be expressed, and so on. Thank you. Did you still have a question?
I think it was kind of related to that, but maybe it was related to Richard's question. Like, I think I have asked this before, but like, so sometimes, you're in a context where you just feel like, what am I doing here? And then, shall we also? Sometimes it's good to explore, to still be there and be uncomfortable and just see what's underneath. And sometimes maybe it's good to go away from there.
Yes,
Or
and the more space there is in you, the easier that choice will be. Because when the mind is in full effect, you have all kinds of ideas where you should stay, why it would be rude to go, you can have all these ideas around it, and maybe I cannot leave because this person is still here, or whatever ideas that you have. And the more you feel spacious, the easier it will be to navigate. And the spacious mind is also has usually much more options, because it is also creative in the moment. So it will just spontaneously say, let's do it like this instead. Or you will suggest something that changes the mood, if that is you will have these intuitive things. It's not like you're changing or manipulating the situation. It's just that things will come to you.
And if you don't get anything out of it, then you can just go away
Yeah,
from
yeah,
it.
and it can also feel very obvious that there is nothing to do here, and I just have to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like
And the more comfortable you feel with that, the easier it will be for other people to also accept that.
yeah.
If you feel very worried about it and very much like it's a problem, that will be the expression of it. And as soon as you feel comfortable with that, and you know that you go with the intuitive sense, and that is always right, you will express that same thing to others. Even though it's not the nicest situation always, if you just suddenly have to leave or whatever it is, you will express it in a much more balanced way. But all situations won't always be comfortable.
Mm.
You will come in situations where things are new. You have to learn new things. You feel like an idiot with certain things. That will happen in your life.
Yeah,
That is just...
That's fine.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the question is just the acceptance of it.
Yeah.
Because feeling like a victim of it and dwelling so much on situations makes it very hard.
But it's different if you like to be somewhere, or if you like to learn something, and it's difficult, or if it's like, what am I doing here? Like there is no sense of it. I mean those situations are completely different. So,
yes, something can feel challenging, and something can also feel completely wrong, or that this is not
it's nonsense.
Yes.
Yeah, and I also think that some of us have a more like, some body minds have a more composition of, like, sometimes they are like, even if they are very present, they naturally will be seem more like not so balanced, or a bit more, what do you say, abrupt, or do things more like that.
Yes, that can just be a personality trait.
And some people will be, and there is no point of trying to change that, because the body mind is just like the way it is.
And you can also experience that people at first, when you don't understand them, that they can feel harsh, or that they talk in a way that you don't find very nice. And when you get to know them and understand them, that it can completely change. I think you have probably seen that a couple of times. Yeah. Yes. So because sometimes people can have a very hard way of approaching other people, but it can be a lot of heart in that. They just talk with harsh words or all these things, but it can be very, very loving still. And in the beginning you might just see the surface, and maybe you don't approve. And after a while you understand the person, and you see that it comes from a very good place, and it's always lands in something beautiful. So all these things are possible. Very good. Any more questions, or should we sing? Okay, let's sing. Will you sit here?
Yeah.
Which one?
I don't know. Hey Govinda,
Yes. Hey Hey Govinda. Hey Hey Govinda. Hey Hey Gopala. Hey Hey Govinda. Hey Hey Gopala. Hey Nityudeva. Hey Nityananda. Hey Vasudeva. Hey Nityananda. Shri Radhe Radhe Radhe. Radhe 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 Shama. Shri Radhe Radhe Radhe. Radhe 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 Shama. Hey Hey Govinda. Hey Hey Gopala. Hey Hey Govinda. Hey Hey Gopala. Hey Vasudeva. Hey Nityananda. Hey Vasudeva. Hey Nityananda. Shri Radhe Radhe Radhe. Radhe 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 Shama. Shri Radhe Radhe Radhe. Radhe 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 Shama. Hey Hey Govinda. Hey Hey Gopala. Hey Hey Govinda. Hey Hey Gopala. Hey Vasudeva. Hey Nityananda. Hey Vasudeva. Hey Nityananda. Shri Radhe Radhe Radhe. Radhe 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 Shama. Shri Radhe Radhe Radhe. Radhe 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 Shama. Hey Hey Govinda. Hey Hey Gopala. Hey Hey Govinda. Hey Hey Gopala. Nityananda, He Vasudeva, He Nityananda, Shri Radhe Radhe Radhe, Radhe 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 Shama, Shri Radhe Radhe Radhe, Radhe 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 Shama, Hey Hey Govinda, Hey Hey Gopala, Hey Hey Govinda, Hey Hey Gopala. Sitaram. Sitaram, Jai Jai Ram, 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 Sitaram, Jai Jai Ram. 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 May all beings find peace. Find the contact with the inner guru. And enjoy the beautiful splendor of just being. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.